Let's say the chant again. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. So once my denominators match, how do I subtract like fractions? Well, to subtract like fractions, numerator minus numerator, fraction bar, write the denominator one time, check if I can simplify. So here we have eighths minus eighths. I have eighths and I want to subtract eighths from them. Those have the same fraction name. They do have a common denominator. So if I were to give them numerators, such as 13/8 minus 7/8. 13/8 minus 7/8. My denominators are the same, and so when it is time to subtract them, I just need to subtract my numerators. 13 minus 7 is 6. Fraction bar, write the denominator one time. Check if I can simplify. We'll look at one more quick example. 15ths minus 15ths. Well, they have the same fraction name, 15ths minus 15ths. They have a common denominator. So if I had 18/15 minus 11/15, I could do this problem. I could do this calculation. 18 minus 11, well, that equals 7, so that's my new numerator. Fraction bar, write the denominator one time, check if I can simplify. And I'm going to use that to get started on lesson 9-5. I'm going to start with my word problem. Anytime I have a word problem, I'm going to find, copy, and mark the actual question first. The actual question is, how much further does Leah have to walk home when she reaches Josh's house? So, how much further? So I know that this is a distance question. When it says farther, well, that clues me in that this is a comparing question. I'm going to be comparing Leah's distance and Josh's distance. So the question itself had some information in it. Not enough for me to answer the question, but it did have some information in it. Leah and Josh live the same direction from school and on the same side of Forest Road. Leah's house is 8/10 of a mile from school. Josh's house is 5/10 of a mile from school. How much further does Leah have to walk home when she reaches Josh's house? So I'm comparing. So I'm going to start by drawing my two comparing models. Okay. And I have Leah and Josh. Well, who gets the longer bar? Leah and Josh live the same direction. Leah's house is 8/10 of a mile from school. Josh's house is 5/10 of a mile from school. So Leah has the longer bar. And Josh has the shorter bar. I know, I'm going to put a check mark on what I know. I know the distance from Leah's house to the school, and I know the distance from Josh's house to the school, and I'm asked about the gap. I'm asked about the difference between them, which means Leah's distance minus Joshua's distance is going to be equal to the distance that Leah has to walk when she reaches Joshua's house. So Leah's distance minus Joshua's distance is equal to the distance that she still has to cover once she gets to Josh's house. Let's see. Leah's house, I'm working a word problem, so I need to be careful to include my units. Leah's house is 8/10 of a mile minus Joshua's house is 5/10 of a mile. And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I've got tenths of a mile and I'm subtracting tenths of a mile. Those are like fractions. I can do this. In my head, I am thinking numerator minus numerator, fraction bar, write the denominator one time. And this is how I come up with my final answer. 8 minus 5 is 3, fraction bar, tenths. 3/10 of a, what's my unit? Mile. And so how much further does Leah have to walk home when she reaches Joshua's house? When Leah reaches Josh's house, she has to walk 3/10 of a mile farther. Period. So this was a word problem, and so I needed to organize all of my thinking. I needed to find, copy, and mark the actual question. I needed to organize the information and translate that. And I needed to plan and think it out. And I had to include the units. Whew. And I had to include the units because in a word problem, I should not have any naked numbers. But the actual lesson practice is much more straightforward. Let's get started on it together. Let's do this column together. 3/4 minus 2/4. These are like fractions, so numerator minus numerator. Fraction bar, write the denominator one time. 9/12 minus 3/12. These are like fractions, so numerator minus numerator, 6, fraction bar, 12ths. 17/10 minus 9/10. Tenths minus tenths. These are like fractions, they have the same name. So 17 minus 9 is 8, fraction bar. Write the denominator one time. Check if I can simplify. And then 1/2 minus 1/2. Those are like fractions. Numerator minus numerator. So it's going to give me 0, fraction bar, halves.